Look at that beautiful new intro.
I know, it's exciting. I was just stuck looking at the screen and not the camera there for a second.
I know, right? It's like we are Veterans Talk Crypto officially now
That's
with the
it.
little spinning coin thing. Should we see that again? I mean,
Fancy.
I think it's pretty cool.
I think it's pretty legit.
Right? I think the volume was a little high. We'll try it again here. Let's see. Yeah, we promise we won't play it, so many times every episode, but you got to admit, we just did up this new.
We just get excited about the little things now in life.
That's
we just,
right.
took us days to come up with that.
That's right. Yeah, it's like we slaved all weekend over a hot stove.
No work.
Cooking
just
up.
all work, no play.
That's right. Cooking up this new thing for you guys, and we hope you like it. So, hey, good news right over here. You can see the crypto markets are doing pretty well. Got green numbers going over there.
For the most part, yeah.
Yeah, so let's jump into a little market report, and then we're going to talk to you a little bit about some things going on in the crypto space, and then hopefully we'll have Anna joining us again to talk about some of the questions that she has resulting from our conversation last week, and also some of her thoughts about current events in the crypto space as well. So we're excited to get her calling in, and we'll get her on here as soon as possible. But you'll notice, we got down to Bitcoin 30,000-ish last week, and things are looking up. We're right there in the 36,000 zone, and Ethereum is also popping up as well in the 2,200. So the big question everyone has had over the past week and a half is, have we moved from a from a bull market to a bear market? In the classic analysis perspective, there's historical trends in the crypto space where you'll have long cycles, and those long cycles tend to follow like 9-month patterns, anywhere 9 to 12-month patterns. And so one of the ways that you can tell that this market is largely being manipulated is that nothing this time has followed the historic pattern. So this cycle was not scheduled to end. If you follow the historical pattern, it was not scheduled to end until like end of September, beginning of October, and it usually ends with like a blow off top. So a big spike, and then it comes down, and that signals a transition into a bear market.
Yeah, I think people were saying that it was supposed to go as low as $20,000 to $25,000 per Bitcoin.
Right.
But that didn't happen, thank God.
Yeah. And that was all the product of manipulation,
Yeah.
the Elon Muskrat moves.
Muskrat, that's a new one. I like
Right.
that.
People trying to push the price down so that their buddies in the banking industry could get lower prices, and a lot of stuff that we're still learning about. I'm still learning about the price manipulation inside the hedge fund zone. If you follow anything about GameStop and AMC short selling, it's impacting the crypto market in a very interesting way. And I think that impact has to do with this price manipulation, but I can't explain it yet. Einstein said, if you can't explain something to your grandma, then you don't sufficiently understand it yourself. And if I can't explain it to my grandma, then I'm not going to try to explain it to anybody else, because I can't say that I understand it. And I certainly don't understand what's going on. But suffice it to say that there are new rules from the SEC that impact the hedge funds substantially. And hedge fund space is historically a space that has enjoyed very little regulation. And these new rules have basically taken away a lot of their freedom of action to manipulate the market space and do whatever they wanted to. And that has caused them to behave badly in new and extraordinary ways. And it's kind of fun because the pressure on those hedge funds came from the retail space, the you and me, the Robin Hood gang, all being organized in social media on Reddit. But somehow it's connected to what's going on in the crypto space. And there's other complexities to it as well. And this is the part that I don't really understand. We're seeing stuff going on in China, the FUD going on with China implementing new restrictions on cryptocurrency mining, shutting down these mining farms.
Huge farms.
Yeah, big weird stuff going on. And I'm studying it. We're talking about it.
Yeah, it's a lot to keep up with.
Yeah, really trying to understand. And, Anna says the same thing. Oh, you can't see because this thing's covering her up. Let me get rid of that. Yeah, there's a lot about crypto that we don't understand too, and we're trying to learn and help other people to learn as well. So Anna, call in when you get a chance. You've got that link, and we can get you on here and continue our conversation. Mm-hmm. But suffice it to say that what we're seeing right now in the crypto space is something that we haven't seen before. At least I haven't seen before. And a lot of people who are crypto experts are saying the same thing. This is different. Whatever is happening right now is different. And we'd like to say that force is lifting. It's subsiding. So when we see these market pressures change, where we see these green numbers and the price start to come back up, that's a sign that the market pressures, the artificial market pressures, are lifting. Do I think there's a possibility it could still go back down again and all this could resume? Absolutely. But it's a sign that maybe this stuff is lifting, because the farther we get away from June 21st, it seems likely that those weird activities are subsiding, and this is all sorting itself out. So that is where that stands. What do you think, man?
I agree with you. I agree with you. It's just like a kind of like a hurry up and wait type of deal now.
Yeah. But the bottom line is, would you agree? Don't sell your Bitcoin.
Don't
hold
sell on to it.
Yeah.
Hold on to it. Or when it dips down like that, if you can afford it, do whatever you can. Just throw a little bit more into just purchase a little bit more. Whether, it doesn't matter how much you got. I would put in a little extra, because like you said, I can use myself an example. When it went down, I bought more, and now I've made a little bit of money on that. I could lose it tomorrow. Who knows? But that's the risk you take. But don't sell it. Whatever you do, don't sell it. Take the loss, but in the future, you're going to get the W. Trust me. I believe that anyway. I shouldn't say trust me, because I'm not.
There's no reason for you to trust us than anyone else, and we're not really trying to get into the
I shouldn't say that.
Financial advice game, but at the same time, study this stuff, learn as much as you can about it. We're going to try to give you the ways to learn about it, but like Kyle said, if you don't sell, it's unrealized loss. I mean, your value goes down, but you haven't lost anything until you sell.
That's right. You still have it. You still have it in your wallet.
Yeah, and I think that's what Kyle's really pointing out. That's a really good point. Is if you ride the market down, you haven't lost anything, and it's certain to come up. I mean, it's not certain in the sense that we have any insider information, but it's certain to come up in the sense of the market. There are 55 million millionaires in the world, okay? Keep that in your mind. 55 million millionaires in the world. There will only ever be 21 million Bitcoins
I was just going to say that. That's why I almost interrupted you to tell you.
Right?
Yeah.
Only 21 million Bitcoins ever will exist. But there are currently 55 million millionaires, meaning there's far less than one Bitcoin available for every millionaire in the world. Let me do the math. Carry the 1, 0. Yeah, that means Bitcoin's value is a whole lot bigger than just $36,000 a coin. When you think about the global value and distribution of that value, the price may be a lot lower, but the value of that coin when distributed globally is a lot higher. So the other thing to think about is right now, Bitcoin has 130 million users. 130 million users worldwide. The internet had 130 million users back in 1997. So line that up in your mind. Where does Bitcoin as a technology stand relative to the development of the internet? We're about at the 1997 level.
Yeah.
So before Amazon, before eBay, before Uber,
Facebook,
Spotify, all the stuff, Twitter, all the things that you live with today, 10 years before the iPhone. That's where Bitcoin sits today as a technology. So when you consider that, Bitcoin has a lot of growth left to go.
A lot.
Whatever's going to happen to Bitcoin relative to technology adoption, the way that the internet went, has still left to emerge.
Right. And
so there's a lot of growth left to happen.
And I look at it this way. I mean, excuse me, it might have been at 56 at one point, but I mean, it's still at 36. You know what I mean? Like, that is so much. I mean, I don't know what everybody's freaking out about, all these panic sellers and this, that, and the other thing, but it's still way up there. I mean, is it scary if you have more invested? Maybe, but it's still $36,000 right now.
It's got a long way to go.
And it's just a baby.
Yeah. Look at who we've got joining us. We were expecting Anna, but instead we've got Dan.
Oh, Lord.
Dan, how you doing, buddy?
I'm going to lean back so I can see you.
Can you see me?
Yeah, and we've got Anna on comments sending in her questions. This is great. This is the biggest party we've ever had on Veterans Talk Crypto.
We should have brought some beers, man.
I know. Bottle of whiskey.
Yeah.
Those standards of shock and awe.
Yeah. So how you doing, man?
Good.
Thanks for joining us. I see that Anna has just asked the question, so can my investment ever be lost for good? Is that what's on your mind too?
Sure, whatever's on her mind's on my mind.
I can imagine. Smart man.
He's got to answer to her by the end of the day.
That's
anyway.
right. That's right. So, can your investment ever be lost for good? That's the question of, can Bitcoin ever go to zero? Will it ever go to zero? Is it a scam? And that's something that we hear a lot. You know, in fact, we got a video teed up to show everybody, you know, where you have this really bright economist, and there are many bright economists. One of the ones that I respect most in the world, Peter Schiff, who I've followed for years, who talks about gold and is a big advocate for gold, and he's really against the Fed and stuff like that, but he makes the argument that Bitcoin is basically a scam and that it's going to go to zero someday. So there are a lot of people out there who will tell you that you will lose your entire investment if you invest in cryptocurrency. We don't agree with that at all. And there are a lot of other really smart investment people and economists who disagree with that. So we invite you to take a look at those opinions and evaluate what's being said, because there are a lot of advocates on both sides. I think the market case is there to look at. Think about it this way, though. In 2008, nothing like Bitcoin existed. There were other digital payment schemes that had been floated for about 20 years prior to Bitcoin. I mean, going all the way back into the late 80s. Digital cryptological payment methods had been both hypothesized, written about it, proposed academically, and so forth. But until Bitcoin, nothing really made a splash. And the reason why Bitcoin was created was in response to the financial crash of 2008, the housing market bubble. And for those who think that it's a scam, you've got a problem, because Satoshi, the guy who invented Bitcoin, never promised wealth for any investor, never sold it as an investment, never marketed it in any way. Basically created it and said, this is the way to fight the corruption of the Fed and the dollar and government-run payment schemes that are robbing people of their monetary value, based on what had happened in the market crash of 2008. It was never sold as a invest in this and you'll get rich. And for years, the price of Bitcoin really didn't do a lot. I mean, it moved, but it didn't move a lot. It was never like a get-rich-quick scheme. It was not sold as a pyramid scheme, anything like that. And by 2011, you go from 2009 to 2011, Satoshi disappeared. His last email was to his compatriots in the Bitcoin movement, and he was like, okay, I'm going to move on to other things. You guys got this running. You guys got it. I'm out. So he was never heard from again. So it's not like this guy was running a scam and did a rug pull. We still have his wallet, the original Bitcoin wallet, and it's got like 1 million Bitcoin in it, and it has not moved since that day in 2011.
Really?
Yeah. So he has never sold.
Not scamming anybody.
Yeah. He has never sold a single Bitcoin from the day that he sent that I'm out email. So as far as we know, Satoshi has not made a single dollar off of the Bitcoin movement. So to call it a scam, the burden of proof is on people calling it a scam. The evidence simply is not there that the creator of Bitcoin did anything to scam anybody, even though he's got billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin there. It's not moved. So he hasn't made anything off of it, and it was never styled as invest in this and you'll make money. Mm-hmm. Furthermore, a good person to listen to, in my opinion, is Michael Saylor. Michael Saylor runs an organization called Grayscale, and it's an investment firm that invests in Bitcoin on behalf of other investment brokerages, companies, businesses. It's the company that Tesla bought their Bitcoin through, and he explains it really well. And he says basically, Bitcoin is digital gold. It has replaced gold as the perfect investment because unlike gold, you can mine more gold, you can get more gold, but you can't get more Bitcoin. It's fixed in its supply. Mm-hmm. And unlike gold, it can be used for transactions around the globe. So it's got a unique quality unlike anything that mankind has ever seen before. So your investment, to answer your question, can only be lost forever if Bitcoin goes to zero. And Bitcoin can only go to zero if demand for it goes to zero. And demand will only go to it for zero if something fundamentally changes about Bitcoin.
Everybody that's mining it would have to stop. It almost be too much to do.
Yeah.
The logistics of it to stop it are just unheard of.
Yeah.
I don't think it can be done.
Yeah. We don't see that happening. Is it possible? Hypothetically, yes. But read what is being said. Listen to these guys on Twitter, on Facebook, on YouTube, and you'll be able to see exactly what we're talking about, because I think it's highly unlikely based upon the market. What's more likely is the dollar is going to crash. As we've pointed out before, the dollar has lost 2,000% of its value since 1913. It's lost so much of its value because it's deliberately set up to be an invisible tax on the people who use the dollar. We know that the Fed is printing more dollars in order to take away the deficit that they're running, to take away the the impact of the heavy debt load that the United States is running up. And that's the fundamental problem. We know for sure that the dollar is in trouble. Bitcoin is the answer to that. So you can hate on Bitcoin all you want, but you still have to account for the problem with fiat currencies like the dollar. The more you print, the more you inject into the system, the bigger the problem is for currencies like Bitcoin, or currencies like the dollar. Right now, the Fed is printing $130 billion a week in order to keep the American market viable. Mm-hmm. If you took away that $130 billion a week printing, the stock market would crash. Our markets, like our housing markets, would crash. The economic destruction would be vast. And the dollar would suffer the biggest impact. Those are the realities that you have to deal with on the other side. And that's what nobody ever wants to talk about. So a lot of the FUD about the weaknesses of Bitcoin, the energy behind Bitcoin, all that stuff is a lot of distraction, quite frankly, to get people's eye off of the problems with the dollar. Mm-hmm. What do you think, Dan?
Yep, I agree.
Well, I think, the fundamental issue that nobody wants to talk about is what they're doing to destroy the dollar. And Bitcoin may have weaknesses. It may be slower than, Cardano. It may be energy intensive compared to other currencies and so forth. But it was built as an answer to what they're doing to destroy the dollar and to destroy dollar-based economies. And they don't want to deal with that reality. So let's listen.
I also think the current administration is passing out money so fast and so frequently that they know it's going to be worthless, so they don't care. That's why they're mulling over the prospect of giving everybody a $2,000 a month stipend.
Yeah, universal basic income.
Right.
I think that's why they're still investing in the stock market. I don't know why, but all these other stocks that have been meaningless have gone up that I've been seeing, and I'm like, well, who's buying it? Oh, Nancy Pelosi just bought, $5 million shares. Well, why is she doing that?
Yeah. Well, because the Fed has an organization called BlackRock. BlackRock is an organization that buys stocks at the Fed's direction with money that's printed by the Fed.
Wow.
So here you have the Fed picking winners and losers in the stock market via an organization that's semi-private, and that's what's keeping the stock market afloat. So everybody's happy that the stock market is reaching new record highs, but they don't realize that the dollar is worth less and less. So your record high that you're so proud of is valued in a dollar that is worth less and less. So your new record high of 36,000 is valued in a dollar that's really worth like 23,000 compared to where the old record was, right? Well, great job. That's like, winning a 100-yard dash that's really only 90 yards long. Okay, so you set a new world record in a 100-yard dash that's only 90 yards long.
Of course, you're going to set the record.
Yeah, great job, Usain Bolt. You're really, really fast. So, but to hear the other side, let's jump to this interview because there's some important thoughts. And as always, our intrepid news coverage will get this for us. You'll recognize the face here. Kitco News, always on it.
Part or the second segment of our interview, I'd like to talk about what's trending right now in the marketplace: cryptos, meme stocks, and gold. I think this will be a lot of fun. You recently participated in a debate with your colleague Dhaval Joshi at BCA, and the title of this debate, very interesting talk: cryptocurrencies, the future or a fraud? Which camp are you in, Peter?
I'm in the fraud camp.
All right. I'll let you elaborate on that, Peter.
Listen, just it's not like Bitcoin just appeared out of the blue. Bitcoin has been around for a while now. It was invented in 2008. The first kind of major increase in the price of Bitcoin occurred as far back as 2013. The price of Bitcoin got up to $1,000 then. So this has been around for a while, and you ask yourself, okay, what's happened to Bitcoin since 2013 when it became sort of a household word? And the answer is that it continues to do what it did back then. Back then, it had a lot of interest from criminal syndicates. People used it on places such as Silk Road and other parts of the dark web. And if you look at transactions involving Bitcoin, to this day, the majority continue to be to finance all sorts of illicit activities. That, of course, and just trading it, buying and selling it. But if you actually look at how much Bitcoin is used for legitimate business purposes, the answer is very, very little. And in fact, some of the data that I showed during this debate with my colleague revealed that fewer transactions for legitimate business purchases are being made now with Bitcoin than 3 years ago. The internet never had a period where retail sales, where online sales declined. But for Bitcoin, legitimate usage is not growing. And I think that should be worrying to anyone who's investing in this currency.
Well, that's interesting. That the data you analyze would suggest that. You would think the reverse should be the case. We've had PayPal, Visa, all offering Bitcoin as forms of payment on their platform. El Salvador recently, in the last 2 weeks, announced that they would legalize Bitcoin as legal tender. One would assume that Bitcoin, or cryptocurrencies at large, should be shifting more towards a legitimate form of currency for everyday use. Are you saying that's not the case right now?
I think technologically, Bitcoin in particular is not well suited for being a true medium of exchange. It takes about half an hour to process a Bitcoin transaction. The median fee this year has been $20. It's not cheap. The Bitcoin network can process 7 transactions per second compared to 25,000 for the Visa network. So I have trouble seeing how this cryptocurrency can ever be used as a true medium of exchange. And if it can't be used,
let me put it to you this way: if somebody gave you 1 Bitcoin, you wouldn't use that to buy something with? You wouldn't go to the Tesla store and buy a car?
well, I can't. Elon Musk won't let
You
me.
could for a small period of time. I think you missed the boat there, Peter. But I think I understand your point. So you're not a proponent of Bitcoin as a currency. What about Bitcoin as an asset class? So let's differentiate the two things here. So it can't be used, in your opinion, as a legitimate form of payment. Could you invest in it as an asset class? Should you? Well, we know we could. Should you?
No, you shouldn't. If Bitcoin isn't a unit of account, if it's not a medium of exchange, then why exactly should it be a store of value? There's no intrinsic value to Bitcoin. The only value it has is the perception that others will find it valuable. But I think what's going to happen over the next year or so, and already it's happening, we saw that with Elon's flip-flop over using Bitcoin, that these ESG concerns, concern about the environment, and don't forget, Bitcoin mining consumes more energy than what Pakistan and its 120 million inhabitants consume. This is a very energy-intensive currency. If these concerns about the environment, coupled with other concerns, such as the fact that the whole ransomware industry would not exist without Bitcoin.
Hold on.
Okay.
Jane, you ignorant.
I got to stop it here for a sec. So much to go over. All right. But I'll give you first shot, Dan. Any thoughts?
Jane, you ignorant slut from Saturday Night Live. That's what I'd say. Ransomware could use in the, if that argument was valid, then all the scammers that call you up claiming to be tech support from Microsoft and stuff like that would now be asking for Bitcoin. Instead, they're going to stick with, and the same thing with ransomware too, they're going to stick with gift cards. But it's only a matter of time when more people get Bitcoin where they're going to say, hey, how about some Bitcoin? Because it's easier and quicker to get the Bitcoin than it is to hop in your car and drive down to Walmart and buy some damn gift cards.
Right.
I had that happen to a neighbor of mine.
Well, Venmo's also using Bitcoin now.
But which is it? I need to know which is it. So, first of all, every drug deal in America right now today is done in cash.
Of course.
So are we blaming the United States dollar for all the drug deals in America? Do we need to stamp out the dollar because all the drug deals in America are done with the dollar? Are we blaming the dollar for the drug problem?
Not at all. Not
the DEA seizes bundles and bundles of cash in these drug deals. Are we eradicating the dollar? Are we blaming that damn dollar? Those greenbacks. They want our greenbacks. Of course not.
Dollars with cocaine all over them.
Yeah. Okay. But second of all, if people aren't buying anything with Bitcoin, why would the ransomware people want Bitcoin? I mean, which is it? If criminals want Bitcoin, why would they want Bitcoin if nobody's using Bitcoin to buy anything? I mean,
when do they know that we don't?
Yeah, exactly. This is kind of like the Iranians have Bitcoin, the Russians have Bitcoin, the Chinese have Bitcoin, but all they want are dollars. It's like, what? That doesn't make any sense. You can exchange Bitcoin for dollars anytime you want. It doesn't matter how many Bitcoin you have. You can exchange them right now on your phone. Pick up your phone and exchange all the Bitcoin you want for dollars. You don't need to mess with Ecuador's national economy in order to get the dollars. They're right there. So, and then on the flip side, don't tell me that you can't buy things with Bitcoin, Mr. Johns Hopkins guy, when just down the road from you, you can buy gas and donuts at Sheetz with your Bitcoin.
We have Bitcoin ATMs now where we live, and we live in a small city.
Yeah,
you just brought the street by my house. There's one.
You just brought a little card in today.
I just brought a card in today. I just saw it. I saw my first BTM yesterday, a mile from my house.
And 3 years ago, when Kathy worked in San Francisco.
Oh yeah, they're all over San
They're
Francisco.
all over San Francisco.
All over San
Wow.
Francisco. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yep.
this transaction business. Okay, let me explain to you something as to why people may be spending less Bitcoin on day-to-day transactions today than they were 3 years ago. 3 years ago was 2018, where the price of Bitcoin was really flat, right around $7,500. Okay, so people had Bitcoin and they were spending it because it was really, really flat.
I didn't even think
Then
about
it
that.
jumped up to $56,000, and everyone was talking about, hey, it's about ready to go to $100,000 and then $1 million after that. Now, if you own a bunch of Bitcoin, are you going to spend Bitcoin to buy, your $35 movie ticket when you think it's going to triple in price over the next 3 years? No, it's inherently deflationary. So you're not going to move an inherently deflationary asset and spend $35 today that could be worth $300 next week. That's why people hold Bitcoin. Now, all these altcoins like Stellar Lumens, Algorand, even Ethereum, people are moving to those because the growth potential they feel like is not as big as Bitcoin. And those are becoming more and more viable. More and more places are accepting them. Zcash, even Monero, these other altcoins are becoming accepted more and more places. And so people are like, I don't want to use my Bitcoin, but I'll use my altcoins to do these transactions. Bitcoin is a potential fortune, a life-changing fortune you don't want to spend. We were looking at that article a couple weeks ago, 0.01 Bitcoin. The article demonstrated could be a life-changing fortune to own 0.01 Bitcoin. Well, today, 0.01 Bitcoin is $500. If you spend 0.01 Bitcoin today on a laptop, and 3 years from now, it's a life-changing fortune, you're going to feel dumb.
You're going to feel like you just paid whatever that is. You're going to be like, hey, well, I just bought a $4 million laptop, like the pizza guy.
Right, Bitcoin pizza.
What I think this guy's saying during the interview, I don't know what his name is, but
Peter.
Greenbacks galore over here. Old Pete. He's talking about it like we're going to the grocery store every day and, of course there's no transactions, dude. We're not going to do this on a 10, 15, like nobody's going to buy gas, then go to the grocery store, then go out to eat, then do all this with Bitcoin. No, we're not talking to you about that. We're talking about holding it right now. We're talking about just getting into it. We're talking about other things, but this guy's on a whole other level, I think.
Well, there's two different things. One is the medium of exchange versus the store of value, and that's what you're talking about.
Right.
Store of value first. Second of all is once you get into store of value, then it becomes a question of what you do with it as a medium of exchange. He's using it the other way around. He's saying medium of exchange, then store of value.
Yeah.
So if it's no good as a medium of exchange, why would it be any good as a store of value? Totally backwards.
Yeah.
Store of value first, then medium of exchange. And altcoins are there to, more than make up for any discrepancy with things. He mentioned a lot of shortfalls of Bitcoin, like the number of transactions per second.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, transactions per second has been debated long and hard. That's why the original Bitcoin Cash fork happened. And block sizes, how many transactions go inside the block. All these philosophical debates have happened. That's why Cardano exists, to address that stuff. The cryptosphere is not unaware of these problems. Every single altcoin is built to address each one of these issues. So while Bitcoin may not be the answer for you or me in a particular arena, if you want to go fast, take your Bitcoin and convert it into Algorand, and it'll be there like that. And then you can convert your Algorand back into Bitcoin.
That's what I was just going to tell you too, is the transaction process is probably a lot slower because these people with a lot of Bitcoin, if they have a lot of Bitcoin, or if they just have a couple $100, where they're gonna, if they feel like an altcoin is gonna hit or skyrocket, they're gonna take some of their Bitcoin and convert it over so they have more of that altcoin, and they're gonna, it's kind of like a guessing game, but you never know. It could happen. But that's what I think a lot of these other people are doing. They're not spending it; they're moving it around, and moving it right back. It's like it's going back and forth. That's what I think. That's what.
But here's what the key is: you have the freedom to do that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And know that the value of your stuff is not being debased by a corrupt quasi-government organization called the Fed that is specifically destroying the value of your money.
Good point.
And you're not keeping it in a bank that's part of the collusion that is not helping you make money, which it's supposed to be doing. You're paying the bank to help you make money, and they're not doing that. They're pretending to help you make money. And instead, they're like making you pay them to access your money, and they're limiting your access.
You have to pay them to get an account more than half the time.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what? You know what I mean?
Yeah, let's don't lose the ball here.
Let's open up an app where I can just purchase some Bitcoin and not have to worry about some, bank teller giving me every single option that the bank has, when all they're doing really is saying, give me your money, give me your money, give me your money.
Right. Now let's talk about energy, because I'm so tired of hearing Bitcoin takes more than Pakistan. Okay, if you're worried about energy, then turn off your computer and shut down your internet service, because the internet consumes 10% of the world's energy.
Wow, that much?
Yes. And if you're worried about energy, let's face it, the internet is not necessary for any of us to live.
Yep.
Okay?
Show's over. See you later.
Yep.
Play the end music.
Play the end music.
Bye, Dan.
See ya. Show's over.
That's it.
Just shut down the
Shut it
internet.
down. I'm
Because
shutting
we
the
can save 10% of the world's energy just by shutting down the internet. Let's end it. Because none of us need the internet. We can survive without the internet. Why are we wasting all this energy? Okay? I'm so sick of this argument of Bitcoin takes a bunch of energy. Here's the fact about Bitcoin energy. It is a fixed amount. Whether you do all the world's financial transactions on Bitcoin or whether you do one transaction on Bitcoin, it's the same amount of energy. How much energy does it take to open all those banking branches across the globe? To light up their parking lots, to pay their employees to drive their carbon-producing cars, and to sit in their offices and turn on their computers and connect them to the internet and light up their overhead lights and throw their 4th of July parties in the United States and their Christmas parties in the United States. Just stop it. Stop it.
All their paper.
You're insane.
All the paper.
All insane. Yeah, all the paper. The
dude,
trees you're cutting down. You're eliminating my Amazon forest, man. Just stop it. You're all insane.
You're taking trees from Pakistan.
Yes. This is crazy. These energy arguments are so dumb. And I'm not falling for it. You're all consuming energy, cutting down trees to support a banking system that consumes way more energy and is way more wasteful and is using an internet that is just not necessary by your own logic. So if we use your logic, you're all a big, massive waste. Wall Street, do we really need Wall Street? Has anyone figured out how much energy Wall Street and Chicago exchanges cost? Because we don't need that. Japanese exchanges, just stop it. Yeah, just stop it. Shut it all down, because we're not wasting any more electricity. You guys are not green. Wall Street's not solar. Wall Street's not hydroelectric. So just shut it all down.
Right.
Using your own logic, all of that is wasteful. So you shut that down first, and then we'll shut down Bitcoin. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, right. That'll never happen.
Yeah, I've had enough, and until they knock off their own wasteful stuff, we're not going to talk about it anymore because it's invalid. Your argument is invalid. So, glad I got that out of my chest.
Yeah, man.
Hurrah.
Yeah.
To hell with you, Pete.
Yeah. So, these people that, and notice he calls it a scam. And once again, if you call it a scam, the burden of proof is on you to prove that it's a scam. The scam argument is really, really hard to make because I've tried to make it. And looking at it, it is really difficult. Like that other guy saying, it's Putin, man. It's Putin. He wants our greenbacks. Okay, that's great rhetoric, but proof is really, really hard to come by.
Yeah, show me how. Show me the greenbacks this dude's acquiring.
Yeah, and sitting back and telling me that it's a terrible asset class when it's grown 9,000% since 2013, and the dollar has crashed by 700% since 2013, or what was it, 200%? I can't remember. We did the math.
Yeah, it's over since 1913. It's over 2,000%. So,
yeah,
since 1913. So no big deal.
Yeah,
2,000%.
Which is the scam? Which one's the scam, Pete?
Academia. That's the scam.
What's that?
Academia.
Yeah,
Where
right.
it comes from. There's the scam, and there's the provable scam.
Yeah, paying bribes to get kids into college.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. All right, so let's finish listening to Pete here.
Do we have to? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
If all of that leads to increased scrutiny, increased regulation, then Bitcoin is just going to disappear, and then its store of value will also disappear.
Okay. Well, let's compare Bitcoin to gold. People have done that. They've called gold, or they've called Bitcoin digital gold. Actually, some intelligent people on the internet have called gold the physical form of Bitcoin. But anyway, the point is a comparison has been made. Going back to your argument that Bitcoin is not a store of value, and that its only intrinsic value is derived from what people assign it to. Can't the same argument be applied to gold? I mean, gold doesn't generate cash flow on its own. You can't model it out like a stock would. The only value that we have is given by what the market deems an ounce of gold should be worth right now. Do you see that as a fair comparison or not?
Well, it's interesting. If you ever look at a picture of Bitcoin, of course, Bitcoin's just a string of zeros and ones, but if you ever see a picture of it, it's always like a gold coin with a big B and dollar sign through it. So I mean, maybe Bitcoin wants to be like gold, but gold is special in the sense that it's been around for a long time. They aren't adding any new elements to the periodic table. Gold remains a very attractive metal for a variety of reasons, including the fact that it doesn't rust, that it's malleable. You can use it for jewelry, and people do use it for jewelry. You can use it for industrial purposes. I mean, every iPhone has a bit of gold. Apple consumes, I believe it's 3 tons of gold per year. So gold has usages that go beyond its scope, beyond its ability to serve as a store of value. But most importantly, the amount of gold in the Earth's crust is not going up, whereas the number of cryptocurrencies is mushrooming like crazy. We're up to about 5,000 cryptocurrencies now. We were 1,000 2 years ago. So yes, the number of Bitcoins hypothetically is capped, but the number of cryptocurrencies is not capped. There's massive, we talked about hyperinflation earlier. There's massive hyperinflation in the creation of cryptocurrencies. How does that make it a safe asset?
Okay. All right. So you wouldn't invest in it. You wouldn't speculate in it. Fair enough. Would you speculate in GameStop and AMC? You covered this in the recent report. Very interesting read. I was surprised you covered it. I understand the research process a little bit at BCA. What inspired you to write about that in a full report?
Well, I think it's partly because what's happening to AMC and GameStop is symbolic of what's happening to the broader market. There's increased interest from retail investors. The amount of trading volume that's due to retail investors has gone from about 10% a few years ago to 20, 30%, depending on how you measure it. And
all right. I think we've heard enough.
Gong. Gong in.
Gong.
Gong. Bring.
So there's hyperinflation in the number of cryptocurrencies, and therefore Bitcoin bad.
Here you go, Tim. I don't need this anymore.
Yep.
No, this will swap. Oh, my hair. All right.
Me too. So notice the total distraction from the original point, the United States dollar, the manipulation that's going on with the dollar, and the hyperinflation of the dollar.
El dólar.
No problem with that.
No.
Nothing to see here. Nothing to talk about there. I mean, yeah. Why would we talk about that? What's the point in talking about that? Let's see. What do we got here? Anything there? Can you see that? Dan, can you see the screen?
No, just you guys.
Okay.
Do I have to hit share screen?
I don't know how it works. I just work here.
Okay. No,
So,
I can't see it.
Let me just describe for you what we're looking at. Kyle, why don't you tell us what we're looking at?
We're looking at the economic data of the money stock.
The M2 from the Fed. So it goes back to 1960.
Wow.
Okay? And in 1960, the money supply was down around, just hovering above the zero billions of dollars. Okay? And then in 2000, it was just over $4,000 billion. So 4 trillion. And then in 2020, it was just about 16,000 billion dollars, 16 trillion.
Yep.
And at the end of 2020, it's at 21,000 billion dollars.
20 trillion.
Yeah, so
21 trillion almost.
21 trillion. Anyone see a problem with that?
Me. I do.
Yep.
But you want to talk about the number of cryptocurrencies. We don't want to talk about this. The line goes like this.
Straight up. Not good.
With no end in sight.
It's only going to keep going up.
Yeah.
They can't. They have to keep up with everything else. They have to.
Nothing to see here, man. Let's talk about Bitcoin being used in ransomware, because that's the problem. That's your problem right there. Bottom line, these guys are trying to distract you from the truth. And the truth is that they are destroying our currency, they are hyperinflating the system, and they are trying to get away with grand theft inflation. And a way to prevent that from happening to you is using cryptocurrencies, which are global, inherently deflationary. Not all cryptocurrencies. Some of them are inflationary, like Elon Musk's favorite, Dogecoin, which is inherently inflationary. But Bitcoin is inherently deflationary because there's a fixed number of Bitcoins. 18 million have already been put into circulation. Only 3 million more, but it will take another 15 years before the majority of those go into circulation. It is fixed. No one can inflate that. So the value is deflationary, meaning no one can steal the value of your stuff the way that they're doing with the dollar. So, Anna asked the question, what's Fred?
Yep.
So Fred is the Federal Reserve Bank. So Federal Reserve Economic Data. And this is the St. Louis Fed office that we're accessing here. So Federal Reserve Economic Data from St. Louis. So the link is, oh wait, let me show you that. So it's fred.stlouisfed.org. And there you have it. I hope that answers your question.
Pretty awesome stuff.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome
For
stuff.
your consideration.
That's right.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, Dan. Thanks for joining us, Anna. And we will definitely look forward to talking to you guys again soon.
We won't be back Thursday. We will be out of town, but we will be back. We will be next week. We will be in next week for sure. So you guys stay tuned.
Stay tuned for more truth from the Warrior Healing Center.
Right here, baby.
Yeah. Have a good one. Peace out.